So, welcome back to Past the Rabbit Hole, and I'm fairly certain that, well, not fairly certain. I feel like episode 50 wasn't as great as I could have made it. Oh well. Shit happens, right? And that's really about it. So, yeah. Oh well. Ooh, fucking microphone's all up in my face today, it feels like. Okay. So, today was kind of, how do I say, weird, I guess. All my equipment is basically dead, so I'm running on borrowed time at the moment, so we'll see if anything dies or not, which I have no faith in any of it. I have like a billion wires in my car right now, which is weird as shit, so whatever. What do you know, I'm only at a minute and like 35 seconds. What to talk about today? Don't really want to go on any kind of political rants or anything. Talked about that giant shark the other day. I guess that was yesterday. I don't know. Kind of at a loss for words as of everything. As I've probably disclosed before, that I live in Charlottesville. Yes, that one. And I don't know how I feel about it. It's, they took down all the statues, the other day. I have no issue with it, don't really give a fuck either way, because to me they're just statues. But it kind of seems that a few people are making some big deals about it, like, oh my god, the statues are down. Like, okay, like, I get it. Statues are a big issue to some people, I guess. But to me, I don't really I could care less either way. But from what it seems, there's bigger things here that need fixing. Like, more along the lines of, I guess, not just wealth equality, it's becoming extremely gentrified here. Everything's very, geared towards a wealthy lifestyle, especially since it's a college town and everything. So, there's just things that actually need fixing up, you know. Instead, it seemed like they just wanted to go and, what is it? God, I can never remember these words in the morning, and I feel like I'm such a dumbass when I try to make myself sound smart, but then I just completely and utterly fail every instance at it too. Culture signaling or whatever, that word. I think there's a better one for it, but I cannot for the life of me remember it right now. Maybe I should start doing these on the way home from work, and when my brain's actually kicked into like full gear. You know, did a whole day of work, brain's pumped up, not still waking up. I don't know. Did one the other day when I was coming home from work, and I was just kind of like, nah, don't like this, you know. So, gotta pick your battles, man. But I definitely think there's better things you could spend your money on than taking down some statues. So I get it. You wanna erase you wanna get rid of a nasty history, right? But why should you erase a history? That's my whole. Don't erase history, because then you're doomed to repeat it. Because then eventually people are going to forget that history. I mean, we were already told in school, at least when I was growing up, that Christopher Columbus came over and was all nice to the Native Americans. And nothing bad happened. We were peaceful people. And the Pilgrims showed up, and we had Thanksgiving, and we all sat down and had a wonderful meal full of corn and turkey and all these wonderful foods, because the natives loved us white people so much. And we all lived happily ever after, right? That is far from what actually happened. And why do they do this? Why do they teach us wrong history? Well, because if they taught us the right history, we would grow up to be much different people and think way differently of our country. We would grow up going, wow, we grew up on the backs of genocide and giant pieces of shit. Our country was born upon terrible acts, you know. I mean, I don't know all of the world history, but I would assume that a good bit of it has a lot of bad history on it. Because, you know, religious wars, religious wars, like the, God, my brain isn't working. It doesn't work in the morning, I'm telling you. But, religious wars, like the, I can't think what they're called at the moment, I'm sorry. Resources, just whatever, you name it, there's probably been a war over it. Water, you know, just whatever you could think of someone else had that somebody wanted, there's probably been a war over it throughout history, right? But of course, history gets rewritten in a way, or washed, because I'm sure they don't. Why would they want to tell the real history when they can swing it to make it look like the country you're living in is always the good people, right? When they invade someone, it's not because they want what they have. It's because they're the enemy, or so forth. Like that, with the, how we were taught, when I was taught in, I'm gonna sound like a privileged little bitch here, but okay. Before I actually, my family got divorced and all that fun stuff and all that, I went to a private school I went to a Christian private school up until like 5th grade or something like that, and boy, let me tell you, it was fucking awful. They taught us everything fucking wrong, and it was just probably why I hate religion so much to this day, honestly. And basically warped my little mind against that. Basically they told us that what they would teach us, if I'm remembering it 100% correct, but from what I remember them teaching us is that the natives in America ended up being savages, so we had to eventually take them out for the most part. And we had to learn all this kind of shit there, right? But this was after we, the happily ever after of, the Turkey Days and the whole, what else? The Christopher Columbus, 1942, sailing the ocean blue, coming to find America because he was a great person. But didn't he land in, like, South America or whatever like that? And then rampage through it and act like a giant fucking scumbag? I forget where he landed. He landed somewhere down there. Not exactly sure where. I think he landed around, like, the Aztecs, didn't he? Or the Mayans, somewhere down, like, Central America, maybe? I might be fucking this up, but yeah. Oh, yeah. That school completely screwed history up. They taught us so much wrong shit. And everything was just totally warped. After growing up and everything like that, I realized how much they fucked with our heads. And they basically, not basically, they did. If you didn't accept what they said it were, like, as facts, like God was real, and all that. By the time I left there, I was already convinced that everything they were saying was complete nonsense, and I was still, like, a kid. I was probably, like, 12 years old by the time I left there. So 11 or 12 by the time I was gone out of that school. And at that point, I was already convinced that none of that was real. Like, already, it was bad. Like, they treated, there was a handful group of my friends, me and like there was probably about me and 5 other people, and they didn't want to deal with us because apparently we learned differently than the rest of the school, we were a bit unruly, so instead of trying to help us out in any way, shape, or form, not even trying at all, what they would do was kick us out of class and send us right to the principal's office. Immediately. No ands, ifs, or buts. No trying to help. Not giving a fuck. Just immediately go to the principal's office. You are bad children. Right? And that was a horrible school. They were the most sexist pieces of shit ever. I'm not saying, like, I have no problem with, like, male, women, equality, or anything like that, but what it was that women could do absolutely no wrong there, but this was when we were kids, though, okay? Like, you get that? Like, I feel like this is a little bit different. When you're children, and when you're doing that, when you're kids and you're basically doing, like, the same things, like, you're throwing stuff at each other, or, yeah, like, say we're throwing stuff at each other, we're on recess doing stupid shit, right? And we're all doing the same stupid shit for the most part sometimes. And when the kids get dragged away, when the boys get dragged away and screamed at, and the girls don't, we started to feel like we're awful people. Well, we didn't really know what was going on, but after we started to get older, like, out of there in, like, our teenage years, we started to realize, oh, they were awful people there, Like, we had no idea what was going on when we were that young, but after we started to grow up, me and a couple people that went there talked about, and we're like, yeah, they were awful. They treated us horribly. They treated all the males there horribly. And it was a fucked place, man. Fucking Rama in Moon Township, Pennsylvania. Awful school. I don't even know if it's still around anymore. But yeah, they fucking hated hated little boys, man. At least that's what we all came to the conclusion of, because all we did was bad. Everything we did was wrong, all the time. Especially me and my little friend group, and there was a couple kids in the grade above me. All we did was get in trouble, day in and day out, no matter what we did. And basically anyone else that was a guy, a boy, got in trouble all the time. We were basically all shit canned from the start. It was kind of ridiculous. I mean, there was a few teachers there that I will admit weren't awful, but for the most part, 90% of them, maybe more, were shitty teachers. And yeah, they definitely taught wrong history there, shoved religion down your throat, and made you feel like a terrible person if you didn't believe or ask questions about it. Any form of, well, why? Well, because I can't remember exactly what they would say, but basically they would answer, well, because this is facts. This is what happened. And absolutely no talk of any form of evolution or anything anything like that was allowed. So any science that dealt with that form of anything was not tolerated. We just had it was just a pretty shitty place, man. I mean, I know I had a lot of I know it was a pretty privileged school, I guess. I mean, I guess you're supposed to get a good education at a private school, but I feel like it was a pretty awful school. Like, you got treated pretty bad. You got, it was very conforming, honestly. You got, forced to stand in lines, forced to, wear a dress code, forced to tuck your clothes in, forced to, wear specific shoes, colors. I don't know if hair was a thing. I don't think you had to have your hair a certain way. Don't really remember. But, yeah, you had to have a certain style. There was a dress code, like a strict dress code. It was annoying, man. So, yeah, you can imagine once you get out of there, you kind of go a little bit, nuts. Especially once you turn into a teenager. Yeah, I don't even know if those schools have to, I wonder if they actually have to, adhere to a certain curriculum. Especially back in, like, what? The 90s and early 2000s. I wonder how that shit went. Like, because I was in grade school in, like, the late 90s into, like, early 2000s. Like, I think I was in fifth or sixth grade when 9/11 happened. I think. Yeah, I was 11 when I think I was 11 when 9/11 happened. 10 or 11 when 9/11 happened. So, didn't really understand what happened until probably a couple years later. Well, I would say probably about a year or two later I started really understanding what happened. And I guess realizing that Bush was a piece of shit. I started becoming real political when I was like 12. I found my punk rock roots when I turned 12. Someone put on Anti-Flag for me when I was like 12 years old, and I was just like, this is my music. I understand this. And it was just all downhill from there. Yeah. Oh well, right? Whatever. But I think education's gotten probably even worse in a sense now with apparently Common Core, which I don't know that much about, but it seems like it's a bit ridiculous being able to... What? I really don't know anything about it, just from what I've vaguely heard, which is just 2 plus 2 can equal 4, or 2 plus 2 can equal 5, just as long as you show your work how you got it, which doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. It just sounds like a great way to screw up everybody's head to me, honestly. And yeah, that just sounds like a great way to ruin an entire generation with shitty, just shit education and God knows what else, right? Because I was fucking awful at math. I mean, after multiplication and division, don't even ask me to throw some letters in there, because I'm just going to stare at it and go, okay. I mean, I'm good with basically anything else. Like, science, I'm cool with. Like, I got that shit great. History, all of that shit. I'm great. I can learn it. I can understand everything going on. But when it comes to any kind of math, I'm just like, nope, I am not interested in learning this at all. I have no desire to go into any kind of field where I'm going to have to pay attention to any kind of variables or anything along those lines. So fuck it. Doesn't really matter if I know it. As long as I can multiply and divide, I am good, right? No, read, write, being literate, that's really all that matters to me, and not being a complete dumb fuck. No, being able to have some proper grammar, maybe not having like the best, but being able to, actually use some grammar, that's good, right? Not making yourself look like a complete fucking fool when you type, right? Well, God, if I actually wrote something, I'd look like looks like fucking chicken scratch, but that's a whole different story. But whatever, right? I think that was that was an alright episode. More of a, past events kind of thing, I guess. But, yeah, I think I'm going to call it an episode for today. Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at PTRH podcast. It's the same thing for Float, Twitter, Minds. I'm on BitChute, Odyssey, YouTube. If you want to get a hold of me for any reason, say hi, tell me how much the show sucks, or whatever. You can email me at ptrhpodcast@protonmail, or for whatever reason, I don't care. Just email me, because it'd be cool to have an email from someone that didn't take the email and try to fish me for once. Right? But that's it. Until next time, guys. Thanks for listening.